Hello and welcome back to the Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Katie Haynes, for today's edition, Wednesday, April 29th. Today's special guest is Audrey Gordon, MLA for Southdale. Hi, Mrs. Gordon. Just wanted to say
Good
thank you for being on the
morning.
show with us this morning.
Thank you for the
So,
opportunity, Katie.
of course. So, as an MLA, what do you do? What are your roles and responsibilities in your community and as a member of the Legislative Assembly?
So MLA is abbreviated for Member of the Legislative Assembly. And so I divide my time between my work in the Legislative Building and my work here in the constituency of Southdale. So in the Legislative Building, I'm a legislator, so I have to understand bills and laws. I have to support or oppose the enactment of new bills. And I'm also part of several committees. I'm a member of Treasury Board currently. And here in the community, I spend a lot of time working very closely with individuals, residents associations. So we have several here in Southdale. And I spend a lot of time in my constituency office, which is located in the Southdale Mall. So I divide my time evenly between the two roles.
And so the province recently announced the Summer Student Recovery Plan. Can you kind of
Yes.
explain to our viewers a bit of what that is?
So I'm very, very excited about this new program. And so it's a wage subsidy program to support high school and post-secondary students who are seeking summer employment in the private sector and in nonprofit organizations. So the program is intended to connect students to summer jobs, and these summer job placements must respect our current health orders related to COVID-19, such as social distancing and ensuring a safe and healthy work environment. So under the new program, there's up to $120 million available for employers to access. It's $7 per hour wage subsidy up to a maximum of $5,000 per student. So the program is open to Manitoba students aged 15 to 29, and the employment period is May 1st to September 4th. Now, employers can hire up to 5 students, and we announced the program on Monday. And so the first 2 weeks of the program is going to be limited to employers that do not qualify for federal programming. So a number of subsidy and funding programs have been announced by the federal government. And for employers that do not qualify under those programs, we are limiting the first 2 weeks of application to those employers. So I'm very, very excited because this really gives our employers an opportunity to connect with students, give them an opportunity to gain new work experiences over the summer, and to restart our economy.
And so I understand that prior to becoming an MLA, you worked at Winnipeg's Regional Health Authority's home care program. So
Yes.
because of your experience with the WRHA, what are your thoughts on the pandemic and the measures that we're taking to flatten the curve?
You know, I think we have done an incredible job of flattening the curve. Just if you look at the numbers and compare them to the numbers across the country, I think the health authorities and the health system in general has done a phenomenal job in terms of bringing services to the front line, making sure that we are purchasing PPEs to protect frontline healthcare workers, and working together as a team, I think, is very important. We always talk about being a team when I was in healthcare, and we're seeing that displayed in terms of getting information up to our Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Rousing, allowing him to get that information out to the public, and just keeping the public apprised and updated on the health orders and what we need the public as a whole to do to keep that curve flat. So I applaud all the healthcare workers, from home care support workers to the individuals that are in acute care, because I think they are doing a phenomenal job. Nurses, doctors, and I put out a post about a week ago to even the housekeepers and individuals who are helping to keep the facilities running. So I'm very proud of the work that they're doing.
Hmm. And can you kind of shed some light on what is happening and changing for home care workers specifically during this time?
Well, what I've heard for the home care workers, so there are two categories of home care workers that provide care directly in the home. So healthcare aides and home support workers. And what I've heard is that they're doing more of phone calls to determine what the needs are of their clients, whether they do in fact need to go into the home to provide services. Because with home care, we always develop a care plan for each and every client. And that care plan must include a backup plan in the event that the home support worker or healthcare aide cannot attend to their needs on a given day. So there's more phone calling and touching base with families to see what the needs may be for a client. And there are more PPEs being made available, so masks, gowns. I just on a personal level, my father-in-law is currently receiving home care, and I've been talking with my mother-in-law about how it's changed since COVID-19. So there's disinfectant and wipes being used immediately upon entering the home, and gloves, and so we are seeing some changes in terms of home care delivery of services for
Hmm.
sure. Hmm.
And so then I also know that MLAs sometimes attend graduation ceremonies for schools in their
Yes.
community.
Hmm.
How is that changing for the class of 2020 this year?
Well, from I saw something really neat online this week where they were going to be doing some Zoom and connecting with students who are graduating. Of course, we're not going to have an in-person grad ceremony, but there's always opportunities outside of being in person to celebrate achievements. I have been retweeting Uh, messages that I've seen of students who are receiving awards and recognitions for their work during the school year. And so we're now looking at innovative ways of connecting and celebrating our achievements. So this year is going to be a little different, but I'm so proud of all the students in the Southdale School Division, the Southdale constituency and the Riel School Division. I had planned to start a new scholarship at Windsor Park Collegiate as well, and so we're going to postpone that until next year. So a little bit of disruption, and I'm sure some disappointments from the students that they can't get to be together, but it's a delayed celebration that may come in the future.
And so then I also understand that you co-own a transportation company with your husband. Can you kind of explain your role in that? And has your business been affected by COVID-19? And if so, how?
Well, I first want to do a shout out to Southdale has over 110 small and medium sized businesses, and they are facing unprecedented, like the challenges. I have individuals who walk into my office and have conversations with me about what their business is experiencing right now. And so I empathize with everyone and hope that their business will be sustained after this pandemic has ended. I am a co-owner and partner with my husband in a small transportation business. It has been closed. This is week 7 for us. So I can say honestly that I can relate to what the other small businesses are experiencing. We've laid off all of our workers, and they're taking they're accessing funding under the federal government's programs. So it's been a time of looking inward and saying, how do we plan? You can never really plan for something like this, but now that we've experienced this, what would we do differently in the future in terms of offering our services differently? So our services are primarily to clubs, groups, and organizations. You may have seen our buses, our vans here in Southdale, because we do service Southdale Community Center and Windsor Park Community Center as well. So we're just looking at new and innovative ways to offer our services. And yeah, it's been definitely a time of thinking about what next steps and what do we do once COVID-19 has ended.
Hmm. And so, you are the MLA for Southdale. Have you always
Yes.
lived in that neighborhood? Did you grow up in the city?
So I was born in Jamaica. I've been in Winnipeg since I was 5 years old. So most all of my life, I've been here. I live in southeast Winnipeg for 29 years, and I have very deep connections to Windsor Park and to Southdale. My church is here. I have a lot of friends. As I mentioned earlier, our business provides transportation to several groups, seniors groups and clubs here in Southdale. So I have very deep roots in the community, and I feel very blessed to have the opportunity to be the voice for the residents in Southdale in the Manitoba legislature. And we're doing some amazing things. I think you may have heard about our food drive. So we're
Hmm.
doing food drives in support of Winnipeg Harvest and the local food banks here in Southdale, and just been a huge success. And I thank all the residents for their support of that program.
So then, what made you want to become a politician? Like, what prompted you to make that career decision? Because it certainly comes with a lot of responsibilities.
Yes. So I think it's very important at all levels to always give back to your community. And I've always had a deep interest in politics. I worked in the public sector for 27 years before I went to healthcare, and always enjoyed hearing how laws were enacted and the work of the legislature and how the departments provide services to Manitobans. And so there was always that little spark of one day I'd like to maybe run for election. And so the timing was right for me. I was at a place in my career where and in my personal life, with my sons being fully launched and my husband and I being empty nested, to really look at political life. I absolutely love it. My father was very spent a lot of time studying politics internationally at all
Hmm.
different levels. And so we would have conversations all the time about what is happening politically in other countries. And so it is something that I feel very thrilled to have the opportunity to do. And it has been so great since September when I was elected.
And so I also wanted to note that you are one of three Black politicians in Manitoba, though you
Mm.
are the first Black woman for the Conservative Party. How does that feel?
You know, I think that it's an honor to represent the Black community, and it's an honor to be a progressive conservative Black woman. Um, the party has always been very supportive of me personally and professionally, and the Black community as a whole. And I think it's great for the legislature because we should reflect the diversity of the people that we serve. And we want to hear diverse ideas and diverse perspectives. And
Hmm.
diversity is not just about ethnicity, but I think it's very, very important. So I feel very honored to be the first Black MLA sworn into the Manitoba legislature. And I'm very much enjoying my time so far.
Of course, as you should be. And so, lastly, you kind of touched on this a little bit before, but have you and your team been doing anything in your community to keep spirits up in this difficult time? And also, how have you and your family been coping?
My family has been coping very well. My husband has been helping out with our food drives, and in terms of keeping the spirits up in the community, we've been doing drive-by birthday car caravans with balloons. We have one today as well to do for a little guy, so it'll be very exciting. Very much trying to still be present in the community I'm calling the residents, particularly residents in seniors' residences, to ask how they're doing. Last week we did a ring in the bell and bang in the pots and lids at Agape Villa. And so we had the seniors come out on their balcony, and we did a wave and just chat with people and see how they're doing. Physical distancing shouldn't be social isolation. And so just trying to connect as much as possible as I can with business owners and residents in the community. And we're going to come through this because we're in this together, and we'll come through it together.
For sure. Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. Just wanted to thank you once again for being on the show with us.
Thank you for the opportunity and for having me.
So to our viewers at home, we hope you enjoyed getting some perspective from an MLA in the community. This is the Connection Podcast, our way of staying connected during this pandemic. Make sure to follow us on social media to stay updated. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Katie Haynes. Have a great day, and remember, stay safe and stay connected.